You'd rather, it's
All
up to you. I mean, I don't want to rush you into your first, appearance on Next Stage. So, strike when the iron's hot in terms of when your soul tells you.
So basically, like, whenever I feel that it's right, just do it.
It's all on you. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in the position before where like you're kind of on, focus.
Silence.
Welcome to Next Stage Podcast. We have Mr. Ethan James here. EJ, some know him as EJ, Ethan James, and he is local performer, been involved in many bands throughout the years, many different incarnations, currently playing with the band Fiction, and they've got some pretty big news coming up this weekend. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ethan James to give you a little background on there's a little thing that's happening this weekend with Fiction.
It's a tiny event. First of all, thank you, Scott, for having me.
Thank you for coming.
On this very professional.
And I have to note, just before we get started, my man had a blown out tire today and still made it. He was the guest that almost wasn't.
What if I wasn't friends with you guys? What if it wasn't as easy for me to be like, hey, Jesse, by the way, I need a ride to the podcast?
Well, we wouldn't have been bringing you on here in the first place if you weren't friends with us.
It's true. I guess you're right.
No, man, yeah, stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
But the music must be talked about and the podcast must go on.
Yes, the music must go on.
And so here I am. Jesse said he's probably not giving me a ride home. I probably
Nah, man, you gotta walk. You
can sleep here if you need to.
Yes.
Just kind of curl up in the band room. I'll bring you a cozy cup of cocoa.
Excellent.
And some blankets.
We'll see how this goes if you get a ride home.
Yeah, depending on how you perform today, you might be thumbing it back. But anyway.
I'm no stranger to...
So this weekend, Fiction's got something going on. I heard a little rumor. I don't even know if it's worth mentioning.
On Thursday night, I want to say the 29th, that is, we're opening for a little band called the Marshall Tucker Band.
Now, who are they? I've never heard of this band
They have
before.
been around for a few years.
Some local guys, just kind of up and coming, or
some local dudes, but somehow managed to bring a heavy following to their shows. No, it's the Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah.
It's the freaking Marshall Tucker Band.
Yes.
And we're opening for them, man. It's cool. We're really excited about it. We just got physical CDs in from our EP, which we recorded back in March.
And this is the one that has been released digitally already?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
which I had a chance to preview. I bought it actually over the summer, and I loved it.
I think you were one of the first people to buy it.
It might have been. I don't know if it alerts whose name it was, but I'm a fan. I have been.
Yeah, man. The Other F Word, it's called. And it's interesting. It's a really cool body of work. It's not exactly... it's not as relevant... It's not as accurate to how we play those songs now live.
Yeah.
Because the sound has evolved so much since even that recording process. Like, they're the same songs, but they're the songs that we play live now. They're heavier.
So there's been some development in the band on stage.
I played acoustic guitar because, as you know, I've been an acoustic performer pretty much my entire music career.
Yeah.
And when I joined Fiction, I slowly introduced more electric guitar, and then I sort of inadvertently phased the acoustic out completely with them.
Now, what do you think sparked that? Was there a moment where
I
you're
just got so excited to be playing with a full band.
Yeah.
Because before it was, you played with me for a number of shows.
Yeah. So let's give a little history of where you kind of started here, just to catch up the people who don't know you as well as I do, and then we'll get back to when you got electric. So you started off.
So I started off
Where'd you
as
start?
a folk musician here in the area. My dad is a folk musician. My father is Ethan Carey. He's a radio disc jockey here in the area.
So you might have a little bit of experience with this type of speaking to a microphone thing.
In this atmosphere. Yeah.
It's not your first microphone experience.
It's not my first radio show. Which kind of sounds like rodeo. Yeah.
You know what? That deserves a...
Yeah.
You got one on the board.
Yes.
So you started out... got an acoustic guitar in your bedroom learning tunes?
That's it. Yeah. So my family and I used to go to this place in the Adirondacks called Saratoga Springs, Sacandaga Lake, the Great Sacandaga Lake, and it was this cabin beach place, no frills, just kind of hanging out around a campfire, with your family and friends. And him and his folk musician friends would play around the campfire. And I immediately fell in love with that and was like, that's what I want to do all the time, at all times, all of the time. And that's what I did. I think I was like 8 years old. My dad bought me my first guitar. He taught me a few chords. I took like lessons for like a couple of months before I was kind of like, I'm going to do this on my own, I guess.
Yeah.
And
you learned enough of the basics to I can carry the rock from here.
Exactly. Yeah. I learned enough to write folk songs. I don't really consider myself an incredibly talented guitar player. I play necessarily to write tunes.
Yeah.
But and then that's what I did for the most of my music career, which is me and an acoustic guitar, and I really didn't play with anybody else. And I just kind of like did solo stuff. And then I entered our music scene, I want to say like in my early 20s probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before that, had you done any live performing?
Here and there,
yeah.
You know.
Was it like kind of like I'll pull out the guitar to party sort of thing?
Yeah,
or maybe
a
talent show? I don't know if you ever did any talent shows.
Only when I started doing open mics that in our area and like the Danbury area and stuff is when I really started playing like out in public. And it was when people started giving me that feedback that there was some talent there and it wasn't just like a hobby.
Yeah.
And which was cool because I mean, as a person, you know, I need validation.
Yeah.
So much validation.
Well, do you remember what your first, like, open mic, can you even remember which one was first, or they kind of blend together?
That was definitely Widows. Yeah.
And
like, a friend of mine at the time told me about it, and I went down there and did an open mic, and I loved it, fell in love with it, fell in love with the feeling. You know, it was the first time I think I had performed like my original songs in public.
So you started with original songs?
Yeah, I did actually.
Wow.
Because I never thought I was good enough to learn other people's music. Oh. So I just wrote really simple lyriced 3-chord songs for the first few years, I think.
Yeah.
And before I had played live anywhere, I had a CD recorded because my dad had a lot of friends with recording studios at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was really easy to record acoustic work. You know what I mean? Just go in there with the acoustic guitar, lay down some tracks and then do the voice. And I had like, I wish I had brought something like for reference, but I used to have this like very prepubescent singing voice and like the opposite of what I sound like right now. Yeah. And it was more like, you are the one. And it was very, very, very rudimentary and just so high pitched.
And so then you came into the open mic thing, and then from there, did you like meet people, or what kind of continued the journey from the open mic, from the recording to the open mics, and then your?
So I did. I moved out to Saratoga Springs, New York, when I was 19 years old. And I got into the music scene there. And
where is Saratoga Springs? I'm geographically challenged.
So it's like 45 minutes.
I was thinking Florida for some reason.
No, it's like 45 minutes south, east. I don't know.
Big horse race
direction.
in town.
Yeah.
Albany. It's near Albany.
Isn't it a big horse race in town?
Yeah. Oh, Jesse, you're over there. Yeah, I forgot you're over there.
Hi, Jesse.
I'm here.
Hey, man. What's up?
Our faithful producer.
Yeah, it's in the same town as the big racetrack. I saw Bruce Willis once. It was cool.
A lot of celebs.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
A lot of. So I got into the music scene there, and I played with this guy for a while. His name was Trevor, and Trevor and I became really, really good friends. And then,
don't hide your pretty face from the audience.
No,
I want to see your luscious glory.
Trevor and I were really good friends, and we had a really cool thing going. And then he joined the army and screwed it all up. And then I moved home, and then I started going to the Widows regularly, and I met Quentin.
Okay.
Gelderman.
Yeah. Quentin Gelderman. We got to get him on at some point.
Yeah, 100%.
He's got a lot to tell. But so you met Quentin, and did you go to the open mics regularly and rehearse with him? And...
Yeah, so Quentin, as you know, quickly became like the house drummer down there with his hand drums and the house percussion.
Because I came in and he was already established with it, so you kind of saw that progress happen.
Yeah. He would come just kind of like... He would be like, oh, I'll play with anybody. But he didn't, like, at that time, he wasn't there set up and, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who was running it at that time?
Steve Powers.
Steve Powers, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Quentin and I bonded, and we just started playing music together for the next decade, basically.
Yeah.
Formed a group that I want to say later became formally known as Easy Street. But we just kind of played music together for a while, and then later on we added a bass player.
Jimmy Mack?
Yeah,
Was he the first? Okay.
Jimmy Mack was the first.
James
bass player.
McCarthy.
And then at some point we had this mildly talented guitar player.
Yeah, I heard that
who
guy was like a
dressed
total
really
prima donna.
weird. Oh God, he would wear bow ties and snazzy schmazzy.
Wait, who?
It's Scott. It was Scott. I'm talking about Scott. And we did the Easy Street thing for a while. Remember that photo shoot we did?
Oh yeah,
in the
that
back of that
old
truck?
pickup truck.
Yeah. Dave Noonan
Right.
did that photo shoot.
That was like
for
in
us.
that weird little like
Right
lot area
So it was in
Bethel.
Bethel, yeah, between like the Micro Hotel and like the German restaurant or something.
Yeah. I remember
This, like,
showing up and,
empty
like-
field. Yeah.
I didn't realize there was gonna be that prop truck involved. I'm like, this looks
Oh,
pretty cool.
so
We were all sitting
cool.
in the back of it and
Yeah.
looked like we were like tooling around with our guitars in this truck.
And so Easy Street was the first time I ever had an experience with playing with a band, and and even then it was still kind of like a band with training wheels to me because Quentin, as talented as he is, I'm not taking away from Quentin's talent, but I had never played with a kit drummer. It was just kind of like I want to say like Guster style hand drums, which it still brought a really unique sound to the table.
Right. And he hangs as well as someone can with because he's got that djembe that gives the low end and then an actual snare. So it does proximate, but there's certain things that are just not possible on the kit that we're used to hearing in traditional rock and roll style music, like hi-hat and it's sort of. I know what you mean.
It was a real rootsy folk sound.
Yeah.
We didn't even add bass guitar until much later in the game.
Yeah.
But it was with that experience where it was with that situation where I really experienced playing music with your friends, really just enjoying like the camaraderie and the mutual love for what you're doing up there on stage. And then we also played some like pretty gnarly shows. Like we opened up for Badfish a couple times at the Chance, if you remember.
I remember one. Actually, I think I went to see you guys play the first one, and then by the next come around, I was playing with you.
There's actually a great
the Led Zeppelin one as well. What was that? Led Zeppelin Hindenburg. Yeah.
Oh, we opened for them as well.
Oh yeah. Wait. Who's we? Oh that's right.
Yeah, remember when I used to play bass in the band?
Jesse played bass. Both people in this room remembers of Easy Street. I'm sorry, I forgot because you put yourself in the corner.
Yeah, well,
Nobody puts Jesse in the corner except for Jesse. But that was there's a great picture somewhere on the internet of you and I at that show, Scott, and we're both like bent down really low, like just doing something stylish and cool while playing the guitar.
Is that the one where the end of my guitar is like looks like lit up in a weird way?
Yes,
and it looks like a power up.
And we both just look so happy, and we're just like, yeah. Oh man,
Those are good times, man. And the biggest audience I ever played to was by your side.
That's cool. I like that.
Those were great experiences, man. I'm very thankful for that.
I keep knocking your table.
I know it's not the most stable thing, you know.
I'm fidgety too. Like
we're just starting out here, okay?
What?
We're just starting out here, We're just starting.
I heard you. I heard what you said.
One of these days, I'm gonna get like a marble
about
topped,
tables.
ironclad, like real Mason.
Mr.
table.
James, is this table more to your liking? I don't know why you guys have English accents all of a sudden.
Well, why not? It's fun.
But so yeah, I digress. That was fun times.
And then so fast forward to Fiction. Now this is what's going on now. How'd that happen?
It's a lot of fast forwarding. Well, all right, to do
unless
that.
Unless you'd rather climb the hill.
All right, well, fast forward to Fiction, but first, before we fast forward to Fiction, we have to rewind back to where we just were.
All right, we're fighting over the remote, and I'm like, no, we want to be here.
Right.
Like, no, we want to be here.
Right.
You're the guest. I concede.
So, I love winning.
Wait.
I didn't have
That's two on the board.
I didn't even have to defeat you with rock, paper, scissors to get that.
Ooh, which, by the way, I think you and Kyle need to have a rock, paper, scissors competition on here at some point to see who's the true
I
master.
accept.
I love that.
I accept.
Maybe a little thumb wrestling in there?
All right, you know what? Before we go any further, right here now.
Throwing the gauntlet out.
Are you throwing it out?
I'm throwing it out. This is official. I am hereby challenging my arch nemesis, rival. Sorry if I'm yelling into the microphone.
The intensity is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. People's
Arch
eardrums.
nemesis, mortal enemy, Kyle Tricola. I'm challenging him to a winner-takes-all rock, paper, scissors tournament.
With perhaps an option for sudden death thumb wrestling.
Okay, I'm in.
Depending.
I haven't figured out all the stakes, but I know that it needs to happen, and he won't do it He's afraid of these young, limber hands. Kyle's very old, and he probably has rheumatoid arthritis in his wrist, making it hard to throw out any sort of... Yeah, I challenge you, Kyle. I challenge you hard.
Hard. So let it be written. So let it be done.
Now it's on you, Kai. Anyway.
So where was your rewinding point?
All right, so Easy Street. Great times. Had a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I was on a boatload of heroin for most of those years. I was a drug addict for a really long time. Kind of managed it, I want to say, between the ages of like 18 and 23. I like kind of just had a lot of fun with it, unfortunately. But after that, it became pretty out of control. And the short version of it would be I destroyed everything, gave up everything, quit music, and just focused on getting high. And then I went into recovery, but when I chose to get clean 7 years ago, mind you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a success story in itself. Snaps.
I'm going to give myself one.
There you go.
It was really difficult for me to operate out there in the real world without narcotics or opiates.
Was it like a shell that you needed to have?
Yeah, I was basically agoraphobic for 5 years. I did not leave my house. I wouldn't go to the grocery store. I stopped talking to everybody. I stopped playing music. I basically just quit everything. And then I eventually got into the swing of things. Got hip with life. You know what I mean? Started going to therapy. Got some stuff worked out in my mind, got some stuff worked out physically, lost an entire human being's worth of weight, which I had gained a lot of weight when I got clean because I substituted sugar for drugs.
Yeah.
And so I would just like...
One addiction to another.
Ridiculous. I would it was terrible. And then, it basically just took me a while to, I want to say, grow up and ready to actually become an actual functioning adult. And so when I did... I eventually got healthy enough to go out. And Scott, wouldn't you know it? Where would I go when I finally left my house again? Widow Brown's, where it all started.
There you go.
And then there was an individual there that evening. Same individual who wore those bow ties many a year ago.
Who is this guy?
Dude, he was
Sounds like he's got pretty good fashion at least.
But no, in all seriousness, and you were there at Widow Brown's that night, and You, my friend, are the reason that Fiction and I know each other. Because that night you asked me to come and open up for this band Fiction, and your band at the time, I want to say it was an early rendition of Panic Grave.
Yeah, I think it might have just been me and Jay Margolin.
Right. But I know you were, it wasn't Scott Elliott trio or anything at that point. It was definitely
I don't remember if Jesse was playing bass with us then. I think it might have just been me and Jay.
I don't think he was at the time. I think it was just you and Jay at the time.
Yeah.
And it was over at Billy Bean's.
Yep.
And so you threw me on there as an acoustic opener, and then I would go on to do that several times with Fiction, open for them acoustically at places like the Main Street Tavern, and Main Street Tavern's the one that I can remember right now.
Yeah, a few other things.
Okay, and then so now we'll fast forward again to last year, a little over a year now. Fiction had a spot at a Battle of the Bands up at Foxwood at the time. And their lead singer at the time, a talented gentleman by the name of Jimmy Man, his name was, left the band for his own reasons and parted ways with them. They were previously a 3 and then later 4-piece original blues band.
Yeah.
Hakim, who is now basically like my man husband.
Now, while we got to him, I have to ask you, which of his defining body hair characteristics do you love the most? His eyebrows, his beard, or his chest hair? I don't want to put you on the spot, but these kind of hard-hitting journalistic questions is what our audience expects.
Those eyebrows are on point. His chest hair looks like a sweater, so I'm out with that. His beard, inferior to mine in every way.
Comes and goes, too. Okay.
Get out of here. Yeah. I'm going to say his eyebrows. Or when he has a porn stash, which I've been encouraging him to grow back.
So, if you want to win over does that trump the eyebrows?
Yes.
That trumps the eyebrows.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Joao, you got some shaving to do.
You need to bring back the porn stash or you are fired. I fire a member of that band every week. We actually have a chart of who has been fired the most for
And
the
who's
month.
winning?
Who's like winning?
Winning
as in
or
who's
losing?
been fired the
Which-
most?
it depends-
Joao by a long shot.
By not even a little.
By not like Joao.
That's not surprising.
Like, so Matt never gets fired. Chris gets fired every once in a while. I've fired myself like twice.
Just to kind of keep the peace. Be like, hey man, I'm not above this.
Well, I don't want there to be any like accusations of nepotism going on.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean. So like, I'm allowed to like Joao was unhappy with the set that he played. Friday night we played at Main Street Tavern.
Yeah.
And he was unhappy with the equipment and the bass cab that he had to use, the house cab.
Did he do a
And
London
so-
Calling Clash, smash the bass?
I almost thought that was going to happen. Like, he literally came up to me in the middle of the set, mid-song. We're playing a song, and he just leans over and he's like, man, this cab really sucks, bro. I don't really know who in their right mind would really buy it. Da-da-da. I'm like, bro, we're singing a song here, dude. And he never gets like that. Joao is overly optimistic about everything. There could be a clear problem, and like something is wrong, and it's okay to admit that that thing is wrong. And Joao would be like, "Nah, man, we're good, bro.
Yeah.
It's fine. No, it's okay that your face is on fire, dude. It's fine. We'll get some Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer."
Cures
Alka-Seltzer
everything?
fix everything to Joao. I blew a tire when I told him about the tire earlier today. He's like, "Do you need me to bring you some Alka-Seltzer?" But anyway, Joao called me up when Jimmy left, and they asked me to play with them. And at first, I said no. I didn't think it was going to work. I was insecure about my own skills as a musician and an artist. I thought they were like good, trained musicians who knew how to read notes, and Matt knows his way up and down a fretboard, whereas I live at the bottom 5 frets. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just didn't think it would be a good fit. Not because I thought they were better. I thought that they could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went and I played with them, and we tried to do one of their songs, and that feeling was reaffirmed for me, and I was like, I'm sorry to put you in the spot, but it just doesn't feel right. And Joao was like bummed, like more bummed than I thought he was gonna. I thought he would just be like, oh, that's unfortunate, man, da da da. But he messaged me like a week later and was like, dude, I really, really like want you to come sing for us, man. Like I really think, what can we do to get you here? And I said, why don't I bring over one of my songs? I want to say that it was Wine, my original song, Wine. I said, let's try and work up one of my tunes and see what happens. We did, and it worked. It was just like
The magic in the air.
it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
It was love at first chord.
First chord.
Yeah, man.
First strum. Love it first strum.
I still remember vividly that practice that day, and I left that house in Orange. We practiced in Chris's basement up in Orange, Connecticut, and I left that house that day like really, really excited that I was playing with these really cool, talented musicians who I got along with really well. For a while, I actually thought Matt hated me because he's very, very stoic. Matt is
Hard to read, you mean?
Yeah, he's a very stoic individual. But just such a great group of guys. And we got together, we did that song. We worked up a bunch of covers, and I want to say 4 more originals of mine. We needed a 45-minute set, I think, for that.
This is for that Battle of the Bands?
Yeah, for
Okay.
that Battle of the Bands. That was our first mission. And that was sort of like the test. It's not like I joined the band immediately. It was like, all right, let's get a set together, and I'll play this Battle of the Bands.
Well, that's a big thing. How did it feel for you getting thrown not only to a new band, but into the fire of like, we're playing a Battle of the Bands nonetheless? Like,
It was really
what did that do to you?
It was really conflicting, actually. It was a very emotional experience because I'm a very insecure person by nature. I deal with a lot of identity issues and just kind of trying to navigate myself through a world where I can accept myself as a person of value, and has these talents that everyone around me would like, that supports and tells me that I have. So it was actually difficult at first because I was so insecure with the sound of my acoustic guitar, and Matt is such a phenomenal guitar player, and they can transpose things when they need to be transposed, and they know exactly what key these things are in, and they know exactly what chords they're playing and what notes their fingers are on. I don't know any of that, man. I just figured out how to get organized noise out of a guitar. I don't know how I can't teach anybody how to play guitar because I don't know how I learned it in the first place.
Right.
I just remember knowing how to play.
Yeah. It was more instinctual.
Yeah. I have a quick right hand when it comes to strumming and doing cool stuff like that, but I'm not a technical guitar player. And it was just, it was nerve-wracking at first, but... And I'm still unhappy with my guitar tone, but I've been told that that's just something I'm gonna deal with.
Guitar players chase it for the rest of their life. As soon as they get happy with it, then they try another record. Like, oh my goodness, there's a whole nother world, and like that other thing's crap. I'm gonna sell that pedal and get this one, and it never ends.
That happened to me. I think I spent like 2 weeks trying to decide on what disto pedal to get, and I bought one, and then a week later we played a show with Kyle and the Strangers, and I was like, oh, now I want Kyle's distortion pedal. Like, darn it.
It never ends.
But
and I will say, because just to kind of interject, when you were saying, oh, you weren't sure about Fiction and how it was going to happen, and if they were going to be, not that concerned, you were surprised that Joao was as bummed out as he was. I will say the first time that you played at Billy Bean's and they were there, because they were watching you play, and I believe it was Joao coming up to me was saying, who is this guy? We want him part of everything we're doing. I think maybe at the time he was thinking part of the, the come on and play show. But he was very immediately jazzed up about you and was like, couldn't hide his admiration from that very first thing. So I think that the bromance started before you were aware that you were the object of affection.
Joao fell in love with me immediately. He was just smitten. He, started texting me at night. And he's like, "What are you doing?
You up? Netflix chill?"
Yeah, exactly. And I'd be like, "Damn, Joao, we only went on one rehearsal. Like, back up." But he was very persistent.
Did he give you any cheese in the beginning?
My heart. Well, that's yes. So there is I won't get into the details, but there's a cheese clause in my contract for Fiction, so they know.
Okay.
But we did that. We worked up those tunes. We played that Battle of the Bands, which was an awful experience. The actual Battle of the Bands itself.
Rap about that for a minute.
All right. So you know where we live. We're about an hour and a half. How far away is Foxwoods from us?
About an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half. So we got stuck in traffic, and we were a little bit late. And as soon as we got there, the judge was like, "You're late. You're gonna get points docked for that." And we were like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be that kind of night. Cool. Okay.
Oh, we're definitely winning now."
Cool. So, we played. I thought we played a really tight set. The next band, I think they had more supporters there. They had a really weird name that I didn't care for, but they ended up winning, and we ended up playing a good set. And so, we didn't win the Battle of the Bands. It was like 10 G's on the line or something at the time. But that night was we knew 100% that we were supposed to play music together. So we've been playing it together ever since.
And do you think going through that sort of experience together helped you guys 100%. Bond and be like, okay, we kind of got a raw deal here, that little underdog thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we just decided right then and there that we were gonna just write really dope music and put as much energy, as much as ourselves into it as possible. And it just felt very limited in that specific scenario. And we work really well outside limits and outside the box, and we just want to be ourselves, and sometimes we're late, man.
Yeah. So from that period, when you started, your band, do you remember what was the first song that was more of a new song? I know that on the record, there's at least maybe 3 I can remember that were previous Ethan James songs that were done different incarnations. What was the first one that you remember that was a fresh song that you hadn't done with other incarnations, that was a purely Fiction song that you brought to the table?
The first song that Fiction and I wrote together, in a sense, and I don't mean together which we have done since. We've all 4 of us have contributed musically into songs as now at the point we're in. But this one, it's a song off our EP called "Wake Up, Stay Up." It's half reggae, half punk.
That's got an upbeat, nice hook in it. I'm familiar.
And that came from something that I was sitting in my kitchen at home, specifically trying to come up with new riffs and just kind of messing around on my acoustic so that I could later bring it to the guys. And I had come up with that just real simple, And
It's like the wake up, stay up.
yeah. And I wrote that little bit real quick. Just the wake up. It's gonna be a long journey. We'll get there together. Stay up. I say to all my enemies, I hope you succeed in your endeavors. I thought that was really cool and humble.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. and I took that to them, and immediately we just worked it up into this nifty little reggae tune. And then it was Matt it was Matt who suggested we do some sort of like a abrupt change somewhere in the song, so that it was almost like two different genres, because that's what a lot of what we kind of draw is that we kind of draw from these four main genres: punk, folk, reggae, and like just good old fashioned rock.
Yeah, and it's surprising if you look back in the history of reggae and punk, is even into the 70s and early times, they were very much...
They go together, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Reggae and punk stations would play each other's because they were both kind of rebel music of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Punk was like a rebel music coming from England. Reggae was rebel from Jamaica, and they meshed even in that early days. When I first heard Sublime, I thought they invented that mashup thing.
Me too. And then
I heard the Police. I'm like, wait.
And I learned about dancehall from Sublime and ska music and so there's a lot of those. It's a lot. I mean, Sublime's a heavy influence on our music for sure. But
they were the last important band in some ways. You had Nirvana, and then you had Sublime, and I can't remember really a rock band since then that seemed as connected and authentic to me.
Yeah.
Like to me, Sublime was the last band I remember when their music came out being like, this is amazing, and then still now going back and finding stuff in that music.
That's the same for me. Like, honestly, I feel like that was the defining band for me that really made it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out and make this kind of music and kind of create this vibe and this energy off of this, my guitar and my limited chord-based knowledge and da-da-da, because it's not like Bradley Noel was a very technical guitar player. You know what I mean?
He had his riffs and his licks here and there, but it
and
was his soul and his
I think
voice.
with like two pedals at his feet, the whole time. So it's like...
Now, what drew you to that music? What struck you when you first were hearing Sublime that made you think, hey, I can do this too?
It was the mix. It was so I have more of an eclectic taste for music than like most people I know. And I know that like I have a lot of friends that have incredibly varied tastes in music, but like I'm all over the place. Like I'm one of the only people that I know that like will own like a Meshuggah and a Slipknot record in the same pile as like Simon and Garfunkel and like Steely Dan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like that. I like genre hopping, and Sublime did that. It's like we were just talking. Sublime mixed reggae and punk and dancehall and blues and rock and just all of I'd say some of my favorite genres and put them together. I challenge you to be in a bad mood when you're listening to Sublime. Like,
I mean, in
a
song like...
Even in songs where he's talking about, like, dying of heroin eventually. Such a good mood. You're like...
Pool Shark. Shark. It's still, he makes it sound beautiful.
It's so weird.
But, yeah, you bring, the genre mixing, like, a song like Seed, they did that so... I think that thing is losing height. Well, we can take a time to adjust up. Or you wanted it? Right. I didn't know if you wanted it up or how you want it.
Right there. That's fine.
Hello,
Mike.
But a song like Seed, it's like they go from that like hard punk, almost thrash, and then to see like that soft reggae. It's so like almost like a jump cut, and you hear that like that is masterful to do. We tried playing that song in a band I was in, and it was so hard to get those down and those changes and make it sound good, and also to remember when it, one part to the other, you hear it, it seems like, oh, this is a basic kind of punk reggae song. If you try to recreate that, you're like, I can't even do that with a lot of practice of trying to memorize this song that exists, let alone write it.
My first Sublime song that I ever heard was their cover of We're Only Gonna Die for Our Arrogance, I think it was.
Oh, right? And who was that originally? I know the tune you're referring to. It was one of those early...
Jesse,
producer's gonna be on the roll.
Could you Google this,
please? We'll get the facts from our producer in a moment, but continue on with that song.
It was just, again, I was just like, I can't believe how he's like making this sound. And then that song is really kind of what inspired Wake Up, Stay Up, because that song starts out like very reggae-ish. He's like, I walked away, I'm not a man to control. And like later on in that song, it's a full-on punk song, dude. And
Yeah.
he's like, I walked away, I'm not a man to control. And I'm like, what?
You can do
And
that.
I just liked that it took that turn. Where you at, Jesse?
I'm saying Bad Religion.
Bad Religion. There you go. I'll allow it.
Wait.
Excellent. So, and that just did it for me, man. And his voice was incredible. And then the other thing I really liked about Bradley is that he put forth a very positive light and a positive energy, but was going through so much darkness and battled like such intense demons that obviously eventually killed him.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, that isn't that the common story with entertainers and people who are really tasked to entertain and make other people laugh and smile. A lot of times they're kind of dying inside themselves.
Yeah. Well,
So, and I relate to that,
Yes.
like on a cellular level.
and I will say that something that always drew me to his lyrics, I see echoed in yours, is there was a very real, kind of gritty honesty to it where you felt like you were learning about the person
Right.
through the songs. Some people are great singers and they write cool, catchy lyrics, but I don't feel like I'm learning anything about them.
Yeah.
With Brad, I felt like that. I was seeing his world in ways,
Right.
and what he was doing day to day, simple things, and then and in your songs, I would get that too. I mean, a song like "Wine," walking around with no shoes on my feet, and things like you're
Yeah,
putting
yeah,
these
yeah.
very realistic kind of anecdotes in there, and then talking about riding the trains back and other songs. There was something in your lyrics that seemed very. Yes, honest, but also it was a world that you could imagine yourself in. Some songs, the world is one it's further away from anything I've experienced, so I don't know what it's like, to be in some of the other worlds. But yours, I felt like the same kind of honest connection to. You were speaking about the world around you and what you were going through.
Yeah.
Whatever someone thinks about it, you were shining a light in some
I
of these
don't
dark
know
corners.
what else to write about. I'm not really good at metaphors or like I'm not a very educated man. I'm street smart.
Yeah, but it comes
But
through.
I'm not book smart, and I don't have an extensive vocabulary, and I feel like I need to, in order to be an effective songwriter, that I need to just come up with. I just need to write these stories that are in my head and kind of translate the thoughts that are in my head into words that everybody can understand and relate to.
Yeah,
And
that comes across.
and there's who else really did that for me? Sean Daly, Slug of Atmosphere.
Not familiar, but I now have something to look
So
up.
Atmosphere is this underground rapper that I've been listening to since I was a young child. A young adult, teenager, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with him. Like I started listening to him rapping in like '99 and kind of like followed his career the entire way. And you just listened to him grow up, and like you listened to him have a kid, and you listened to him and his strenuous relationships with these females and this complicated relationship with the mother of his kid, and you hear his words mature as he it's great when you see an artist growing as a human. You learn, like you said, you learn about them as human beings and not just this distributor of music.
Yeah, not a facade, not portraying an image that they're keeping up, and you're like, you're not that
Yeah,
guy anymore.
which is
Come on, you
really-
can't be that guy forever.
And it's sort of the case with people and entertainers a lot. Is there's that separation of the two people, and I just like that closeness. I really kind of like thrive off of connections.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a really lonely place, this world. Unless,
Certainly can be.
yeah, it can be. And so I don't know, and plus like it's really difficult for me to connect with and relate with people without music. So when I have that music, I just kind of want to be as close as possible to people that I'm playing it for, and
Yeah.
vice versa. I want them to feel close to me as well. Like I definitely make an intimate connection with everybody that I've ever played music for.
Yeah, and that comes across very strongly. Even when you performed at our wedding, he did our first dance for me and Shannon, a rendition of Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen song made popular by Jeff Buckley. But he did his own spin, and members of my family were like, "Who is that guy?" Like, nobody does that. Like, just people who never knew you before, who know me. Of course, they're my family. They know I play music, but to see you play, it was like you got a lot of people. Not only just that was great, but like genuinely like, how did you get that guy to play your wedding? And it's like, well, he's your friend.
No
like,
big
whoa.
deal. We're friends.
But
yeah,
then-
if I can make people cry,
Yeah.
I win. Got him. Got him. I actually, and I've gotten to do that a lot. I've been
Make people cry?
yeah. No, play at my friends' weddings and sing my friends down the aisle. It's actually like your wedding kind of like I feel like inadvertently started that trend, because after that I got asked several times. Like I've
awesome,
played,
man.
I've done Can't Help Falling in Love. I think I've done like Naco tunes. It was cool, man. It was a really cool experience. Thanks for that, by the way.
Oh, thank you,
Scott,
man.
who had a pizza truck at his wedding.
Oh God, I love that.
God, it's so good.
Oh, so good.
So back to okay, I want to talk about the open mics were a thing that you got your foot in the door with, starting with music. And what do you think about those in the community in general for musicians starting out, and like what do you feel about it?
I think it's an invaluable resource. Just going to those things. Our friend John Chapman runs like
3 of them at this
three
point.
of them now.
He'll be on the show at some point, folks. For
Johnny
sure.
Chapman, he's got some skills.
He runs this joint.
Johnny Music Scene Chapman. And I just think it's invaluable because you have these like-minded musicians and artists who are coming down, and a lot of times you'll have these like pop-up bands start almost, and like but you also have an opportunity to get out there and network and get to know both people who are starting out just like you, and then people like us who are more like embedded in the scene, who have been doing it for a while. And there's plenty of cases where you see some really talented. You guys know Chris Daly?
Yes.
So Chris,
We're gonna get into it as well.
Let me tell you about Chris Daly real quick. I am a #Chris Daly
I was an instant
fanboy.
fan, yeah.
Fanboy. He reminds me of myself when I was younger. He's just got a ridiculous range and a ridiculous energy.
Captivating energy,
I was at a. So there, Johnny had a showcase with, it was myself, Johnny Chapman, and Chris Daly at New Milford O'Connor's a couple of weeks ago, and Chris sang "In the Jungle." In the jungle.
Yeah.
He sang this note that was like Mariah Carey type note, like I can't even mimic it. It was so high, and I was like, "Shut your dumb, talented face, young man." But cats like Chris Daly, who like came in, sort of was like, "Here I am, I'm Chris Daly," and then he beat out for a little bit, and then he came back and he reaches out to people like myself and other people, and he's like, "I want to get back out there, and I really want to da-da-da." I think he's already gotten a group of musicians, but that's what I told him. I said, go to the open mic nights and call people. Any one of us is willing to give you, you know what I mean? Come open for us at this show. John Chapman's like, I got shows for you, da-da-da. That's what I feel like is my favorite part of this music community, is our empowerment of each other. For me here specifically, in our area, there's not a lot of ego. You know what I mean? There's more just, let's share talent. Let's play these gigs together. Can you fill in here? Like, how many bands have you guys gotten into, just because you met someone at open mic? Or
everything.
Yeah.
Everything I've done started from an open mic. I don't know what's going on with that mic stand, man. It's sinking.
I think it's my mic stand.
Yeah,
the producer's mic stand. Oh, God.
It needs a little repair
fired.
work. But yeah, anything I've ever done around here started with the open mic in some scenario, whether it's the first, inception of a band, or whether it's finding a new member for a band, or whatever it may be. This is like the title pools.
The way I see it is, I love it. It's like we go out there with whatever bands that you're a part of at the time, or whatever musical projects and endeavors you're involved in, and you go out and you play your shows and you play your sets, and we all come back to open mic, where it's kind of like, it's like the music guild.
Yeah.
Like, we're all just hanging out at that bar, singing songs that we know, new tunes. It's
a great place to try out new stuff.
Yeah. It's it's family, man. I love it. Like I was telling you before we started, when this music community is like a intricate part of why I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even mean that to be like hyperbolic. Like, I'd be dead without like you. I mean, Jesse not so much, but you know what I mean. Like,
that's such a good compliment.
I've been so back and forth, like, as a human being, and like I've definitely, like, I've done so much to alienate people I care about, and just sort of, I was very, very unreliable for a very long time. And when I came back, man, and that night that I saw you at Widows, I mean, obviously it took a while for me to earn the trust and stuff back, but to be welcomed back with sort of like open arms, you know what I mean? Like,
I was very happy to see you,
oh,
man.
it was beautiful, dude.
I'm sure I hugged you at some point.
Absolutely.
Probably right away.
You were, I'm pretty sure the first person to hug me like, when I walked into that room. But it's just such an awesome community, and like I said, there's not a lot of competition between us. It's all just camaraderie and shared love of music and ball breaking. You know what I mean? It's like it's great.
Friendly.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think that kind of experience that you had with the music community and what it did for you, giving you a sort of thing to return to, has helped you in your life? Blow that up to like a bigger scale of country, world, whatever. What does that speak to about music's power?
It's like the highest form of communication for me to. I just feel like it's a universal language, music is. So I personally, I have to involve music in every aspect of my daily life because it acts as a protective blanket for me. And I recently started doing a music therapy group at a mental health facility in Danbury called Blue Sky Behavioral Health. And it's funny that you asked that question because, like, for me, being able to have that tool of music can bridge almost any gap between you and anybody else.
What are some of your experience with that program? Give a few little tidbits if you can. I'm sure it's too much to cover it all, but like,
it's amazing, dude.
Some experiences that you've had in doing that music therapy.
For me, it's, first of all, it's therapeutic on both sides. Like, it's just as therapeutic for me as it is for them. But for them, it's an intensive, it's like an inpatient program, and they're going through these therapy groups, and they're talking about these very real, very intense feelings all day, every day, and
they're experiencing a strange side of humanity that not many people get.
So it's for individuals who basically have a great deal of difficulty navigating through basic life because of their of the impact that their mental illnesses have on them. And there's life coaches and therapists and groups. I get to spend an hour twice a week with these people and just hang out in a big room and sing to them, with them. We do activities. Sometimes we write songs together. Scott, I have to show you some of these lyrics sometime. Like, so I'll have them write verses, their own verses, and I'll put them all together on the floor, and I'll make a song out of it, like, on the spot.
Whoa,
and just like
awesome.
they
That's
love
really,
it.
really
cool.
It's really great. And we'll do sometimes we just do emotion association, where like I'll play like instrumental music with no words, and I'll have them write down what thoughts and feelings or visualizations it might trigger for them, and they write, they draw, we sing. It's such an incredible experience.
That's incredible. That's really awesome that you're doing that, man.
Yeah, I love it. I actually want to get like you guys involved at some point.
I would love to be.
It's a great way to give back, like our talents and
Yeah, and that's another thing I love about our community, man. We've raised a lot of money for charity.
Yeah.
All of us just doing.
Well, it puts the music in a bigger context than, as you said, not just people out for their own ego and stuff. Like, yeah, we all want to do well with what we're doing. The better that you get, the better access you can have to a broader audience. But as you mentioned with these things, there's a deeper thing that music can do in the community that's not just about come out and see me play and say, oh, I'm great.
Right, exactly. And that's what I love about the group, is that I still get that musical, I still get the healing benefits of my music because I get to play it, but then other people get it too.
Now, what is that? This thing is really giving you a hard time.
What the actual?
Maybe we should go to that.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Yeah.
I've been so good at not cursing, you guys.
Yeah.
Can we just take it?
Yeah, you deserve that.
All right.
So in doing the music, of course, you do the band thing, performance, and then you do it also in this.
We're good. We're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with what's happening right now.
I'm more than fine, actually. I'm
more than fine. There's that meme where that dog's in the burning room, I think, and he's like, "This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. I'm fine."
Scott doesn't know memes.
Nah, I'm learning. I have to get better on that side of life. And
You were saying words.
oh yeah,
Say more now.
I kind of forgot. I mean, the thing moved on. So I guess what's next in line for fiction? We got the Marshall Tucker.
Marshall
thing
Tucker's
going on.
coming up, and then I want to say
Physical copies of the album
we
are coming
just got
out soon.
physical copies of our album, The Other F Word. It's a 6-track EP, and it's also on Bandcamp. We're on the internet.
Will that be distributed to Spotify, all those things?
It's up there already.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's on all the Hotfire digital platforms now, and it has been since March. Now we just got physical CDs, got a barcode on it and everything. It's so official, bro.
Is there a website or anything else you want to direct people to where they can check your stuff out?
We have our Bandcamp. Eventually, we're gonna get Jesse to build us a website for free, and we have Facebook and Instagram, and that's Fiction Band Official. We're writing a record. We're not really writing the record. Basically, we're taking a few songs from the EP, updating them how we play them now,
Yeah.
and then I think we've written like 5 or 6 brand new songs. Like
Ooh, there's some new bullets in the chamber.
Yeah.
I don't use that metaphor. That's too violent. There's some new things in
Yeah,
line.
that's no, man. We don't like guns, bro.
No, man.
There's some new pebbles in your hand.
There you go. That's better.
But,
so what do you think has changed? You said when playing some of these songs live made them change from the EP. Like what?
So
What
I
did
basically it was just an ever so escalating level of adrenaline while I was on stage, and the acoustic guitar for me just wasn't matching the power of the rest of the band, and so I was like, I want to play heavy like you guys, and so I did, and I started, and then I have 2 really nifty guitars in my arsenal right now, and they're both by local. How do you pronounce the word? Luthier?
Luthier, I think.
Luthier?
Luthier. Luthier.
They're both by local guitar maker guys.
Luthier, potato. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's this cat, Mark Florio. Florio Guitars is his name. And this other dude, Pete Tamanya. Sorry, man.
Townsend?
Yeah, that guy. And they just had these really rad guitars, and I wanted them, so I got them. And I just started. I got a distortion pedal and a delay pedal from Mr. Kevin McMahon, who Kevin
McLean?
Yeah, McLean.
Oh, okay.
No, Kevin McMahon. I'm gonna stick with McMahon.
Oh, Kevin.
Got a delay pedal from McLean, and just went to town, man. And then Matt actually helped me find like a tasteful distortion sound. And
might be a little too cool. I don't know.
I hate everything about
No, man. This mic stand's really just failing on all levels. So,
but basically, we just started playing everything heavier, and it just sounded good.
Yeah.
Not like overly heavy, but
just beefing it up a bit, giving more support in there,
was
more
basically just
muscle.
Yeah, dude. Just there was more layers, and I want to not layers, more fluid movement of the songs. You know, as opposed to just acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and bass, and then you just kind of go
blended better. The tones kind of fit in better.
And it's being able to add those inflections and time changes and just kind of be like navigate through a song differently than you would be able to with just that acoustic guitar. And then I became addicted to it, and like we kept talking about how we should totally like bring the acoustic guitar back at some point, and like I'm sure we will. But I'm having way too much fun with the electric guitar now, so I don't. No.
Yeah, well, maybe I guess you can use it in certain songs where maybe this is an acoustic version, but like
15 years behind an acoustic guitar. I mean, electric guitar is just smaller to hold. It's it's good. I
louder,
like it.
better. Yeah,
I like it. I just feel like a authentic badass up on that stage with an electric guitar.
And so does that make the argument to you that playing songs live before recording is beneficial? Like you guys worked them out on the stage and a different sound?
I've never written a song that I've never written a song specifically for studio.
Yeah.
Like I've just never written that way. I know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I've never done that because, again, I've written all my songs on acoustic guitar. So I don't know what it's like to use any effects or any kind of extras or bells and whistles to write tunes. I just kind of wrote them on an acoustic guitar. That's how it sounds.
Yeah.
And then now that I have the electric, I try and maybe kind of get cool and creative with it. But again, like too many pedals at my feet, and I'm gonna have an anxiety attack. So
Yeah, which one to step
I
on.
keep it simple. Yeah, I just want something to sound smooth and pretty, and then
Build from there.
yeah, heavy and thick.
How we doing on time? Are we still good?
Was it a 5-minute mark?
Yeah.
Was that, or were you just like
5 minutes
5
to an
minutes.
How are we
hour.
doing on time? Good. We're good.
You're great.
Good.
Great.
So yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming
Oh,
up
man.
onto this. This
What
has
an
been so much
experience,
fun.
bro.
Hearing your story, from all you've gone through and been through musically, and then
You
learning
don't have to
about.
lie to the people. You've heard my story 37 times in your life.
I lived parts of it.
38 today.
You were
But-
in the story. If there's a movie of my life, you're going to have some screen
Who's
time.
gonna play me?
I don't know, but I'll tell you right now. Have you guys seen Bohemian Rhapsody yet?
No.
All right. Do you know the actor who's playing?
Yeah, Mr. Robot guy, right?
Yeah, Rami Malek.
Oh.
Rami Malek. Only person in the world who could play Joel. He just looks exactly so much like him. If there's ever a fiction biographic film, Rami Malek, please play my bass
What do you
player,
think about the
Joel.
movie? I've heard mixed reviews.
So, all right. I liked the movie. It was inaccurate in
That's what I've heard.
several
Yeah,
places.
okay.
And if you can look past that, which I can, because I just went there to go hear remastered Queen tunes for an hour and a half, and then a cool story in between. I can look past the the historical inaccuracies and say that it was an entertaining, good film. Like the Live Aid scene at the end made me cry.
How is the remastered version of Bicycle?
I don't know if Bicycle was in there.
Good.
I don't know if Bicycle was in there.
Oh, that's a terrible song. It's fun. I'm not the biggest Queen fan. If you can
No,
figure it out
not a
now.
huge Queen fan. I liked the movie. It was fun. But, if you're one of those people who's like, that's not right, you're going to say that a lot.
Oh, okay.
Because
A lot of
what-
poetic license.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
flat out
Well, I heard
inaccurate.
Brian May had something to do with that. I heard he was tinkering.
All 3 of them were producers.
I mean,
of the
I have a
film,
lot of
think.
respect for Queen.
Yeah,
Well, let's not
You're
get
just not,
the-
it's just not your cup
Yeah,
of tea.
exactly. Yeah. So I heard that there was some tinkering, and
There was a lot of tinkering. And I'm going to say one thing, and it's not, it's a minimal spoiler alert, so it won't actually ruin the film. But one of the things that really bothered me is that in the movie, for the Live Aid performance, they made it seem like they had not been together for a year or something.
Yeah.
And in reality, they had toured together months before Live Aid.
They made it seem like a reunion show or something.
They made it seem like a reunion show, and then there's also a point in the film where they all get mad because Freddie goes off for a solo record, and that's BS because he wasn't even the first member to go off and do a solo thing.
Yeah.
So dude, lots of historical inaccuracies, but the music was cool. The cats were adorable, and I like Rami Malek. He can do no wrong for me.
Yeah, he's a great
Obsessed
actor,
with
for
Mr.
sure,
Robot.
yeah.
So, it worked for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Worked enough.
And then I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. And then I also didn't think that Venom was good. I didn't think Venom was a good movie.
See, I'm hearing. I heard that was terrible too.
I don't think it was terrible.
I'm
I
not a
just think
big
it was-
comic book guy or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I
I have a buddy that my roommate Eric swears it's a great film because it was very accurate to the source material. And I'm like, so?
But it just was not an
And my
interesting
other
to watch.
roommates are female, so they're just like, Tom Hardy! You know what I mean? But I mean, in their defense, Tom Hardy. Whew. All right. That's it. That's all I have to say. Peace.
Great way to end it.
I'm sure we covered everything here, right?
We can end it. All right. That was EJ Next Stage Podcast. We'll see you next time.
No, but thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for coming.
This
I mean,
is
this-
really, really great. I
Yeah.
think I was telling Jesse, when I saw that you guys were doing this, I saw it on Facebook, and it was an immediate and out loud response where I said, yes, yes to this happening, yes to these two doing it. And then Jesse was like, hey, you want to be the first guest? And I was like, yes. Because remember, validation.
Yes.
I need it. But I was in Texas at the time, so you had to settle for...
We hadn't learned the
You had to settle for LA,
Skyping
right?
and
Settle. Whoa! Shots fired.
Yeah, no, you're already throwing down on Kyle on here, so we can't have too much controversy going on.
know
Way
me,
too
man.
many
You know
rock
me,
paper
man.
scissors.
I'm throwing darts. I'm throwing darts. Come at me, bros. No,
That's
just
the challenge to everyone in the music. He said all that camaraderie, getting along. We go,
It's
now we
really
see.
competitive.
take off your shoes and come at me, bros. It's the only way to make it fair.
Fight on your level,
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered it all for now, man. You know what? It's not going to be the last time you're on here. We're definitely going to have recurring
literally
guests.
anytime
You know,
you
when
would
there's new things going on, and just in general, you know, I feel like we kind of scratched the surface on some of this stuff. We can get further in, but man, awesome episode. Thank you so much for coming up here.
Woo!
Thanks to Jesse for producing.
Wow, people saw my hand.
We'll cut it out.
Yeah, I almost wanted to like
Cut it out.
I'll cut it out.
I almost wanted to like switch seats from the Queen conversation. I was like, maybe I should.
Hey, you saw my hand. We'll fix it in post.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We love you all. Thanks for listening to Next Stage Podcast and watching if you're watching. We'll be coming at you with another episode soon. And in the meantime, we'll leave you with some final words from Mr. Ethan James because I want to put him on the spot.
Oh, I'm just supposed to come up with final words? There's no directive? There's
I just said I want to put him on the
question?
spot.
Oh.
I was like, did you guys plan something? What's
No,
going
that was
on?
it. That was your final words.
Okay, no, wait. I got good final words.
Okay.
The nursery rhyme. It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. He went to bed and bumped his head and never woke up in the morning. Is just a rhyme about a man who died in his sleep from a concussion while it was raining. And when you break that down, that's really depressing. And why did we tell that to children? Good night.
Good night, everyone. Oh.